Most fractional CFOs say a D2C brand should have a 13-week cash forecast. I think this is BS, and today you're going to find out why. Hey everyone, welcome to another mini episode of the Free to Grow CFO podcast, where I break down one key concept that will help your D2C brand increase profit and cash flow as you scale. Okay, so do some brands need a 13-week cash forecast? Sure, but does that mean every brand needs a 13-week cash forecast? Not at all. And to be quite honest with you, I'm not even sure where this fabled 13-week cash model even got started and why it has become the gold standard. Look, instead of just following the status quo and what it feels like everybody else is doing, instead we should think critically and ask ourselves two key questions. Question number one is, do I actually need weekly visibility into cash flows, or is monthly enough? You'd be surprised how often monthly visibility is enough for the decisions that you currently need to make within your business. At Free to Grow CFO, we only activate a weekly cash model when we see something in our monthly cash forecast model that indicates weekly visibility may be prudent. So think of it this way. This is our philosophy at Free to Grow CFO. We have monthly cash flow projections. You can typically see in your monthly cash flow projections under different scenarios that there may be a risk that cash is going to get tight at some month in the future. When we see that, we may activate a weekly cash model to dive deeper and get a more granular view on whether or not cash may go negative potentially on a weekly basis. So, again, question number one, do I actually need weekly visibility into cash flows, or is monthly enough? At Free to Grow, we start monthly and we activate weekly when there's a red flag that we see in our monthly cash flow projections. Question number two you should be asking is, what is the appropriate time horizon for the decisions that you need to make over the next several weeks? This is where we're challenging the 13-week time horizon. Again, 13 weeks, I know it's one fiscal quarter, although it still seems fairly arbitrary, because who's to say that one fiscal quarter or 13 weeks of visibility is appropriate for the decisions you need to make? The reason why I started challenging this and why we challenge this at Free to Grow CFO is because I used to have a 13-week cash flow model at Guardian Bikes. And you know what I found? I rarely, if ever, and quite frankly, as I'm thinking about it, I don't think I ever used beyond week 6, maybe week 8. So that begs the question, why am I spending all this time painstakingly forecasting cash flows all the way out to week 13? So in answering the second question, we really want to ask ourselves, how far out into the future do we need to see to make quality decisions? So for example, if you've decided that the decisions you need to use a cash forecast for are really centered around approving weekly AP payments, I oftentimes find that brands only need 2 to 6 weeks of visibility in order to make said decisions. Usually beyond 6 weeks, and quite frankly, typically beyond 4 weeks, future AP is just going to change so rapidly on a weekly basis that it's not really helpful to see that much further. So typically 2 to 4 or maybe 2 to 6 weeks of weekly cash visibility is plenty for approving AP payments. So what's the point that I'm making with all this? The point is you should build forecasts specifically to support making the decisions that are right ahead of you. No more and no less. Anything more than that is wasted time. And let's be real, time is not something that any of us can afford to waste right now. So in summary, instead of just arbitrarily deciding that you need a 13-week cash forecast, start by asking yourself two key questions. One, do I actually need weekly visibility into cash flows, or is monthly enough? And two, what is the appropriate time horizon? How far out in the future do I really need to see to make quality decisions? Answer those two questions, build what you need to support the answers to those two questions, and don't build any more until the answers to those two questions change.